love me, love you say you do. Let me fly away with you, for my love is like the wind, and wild is the wind.
Ah, you sound great, Nick.
Thank you.
Give me more than one caress. Won't you satisfy this hungriness? Let the wind blow through your heart, for wild is the wind. You touch me, I hear the sound of mandolins. You kiss me, and with your kiss the world begins. You'll spring to me, all things to me. Your life itself, like a leaf clings to a tree. Oh, my darling, cling to me, for we're creatures of the wind. On guitar. Sounds of mandolins. You kiss me, and with your kiss the world begins. You'll spring to me, all things to me. Your life itself, like a leaf clings to a tree. Oh, my darling, cling to me, for we're creatures of the wind, and wild is the wind. Wild is my love for you. Oh, wild is the wind. Wild is my love for you. Oh, my love for you, deeper than any sea. Oh, my love for you. Oh, wild is my love. Oh, for you. Oh, wild is my love. Yeah. Wild is my love. Oh, my love, my love, my love, my love, my wild is my love. Wild is my love for you. Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
From All About Love.
That is really good.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, my special guest today, Nicolas Bearde. I'm really happy to finally have you on. Really happy to finally have you on.
Thank you.
And yeah, you know, you're number 387.
Is that right?
Yeah, but I asked you
Made
like
the mark.
at least 100 people ago.
Yeah, I think we had some email confusion or something.
Right. I could call, you know, it's, I know I could call, you know.
That's all right. Yeah, no, I'm happy to be on right now.
So as you saw, yeah, very smooth. Mark Baldrige says very smooth, really beautiful. Well, as you saw, yeah, hold very on. Smooth. Mark Baldrige says very smooth, really
Looping.
beautiful. Where am I doing?
As you saw,
Sorry.
yeah,
Hold
very
on.
smooth, Mark Baldrige.
Here we go. Yeah, you gotta watch that, you know.
Is that looping from a viewer?
No, that was I have a Facebook window open, you know, so I can see comments. So, but I have to turn the volume down on that.
Oh.
Dan DeVilla says, you can let Nicolas Bearde know that he is partially responsible for Social Anthems Volume 1, that's my last record, due to the band he used at the Blue Whale of Josh Nelson, Edwin Livingston, and Lorca Hart. You know, Dan, I forgot that.
That's right, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
That's when you tried to get me to scat. I remember that very well.
Yeah.
Tried to trick me into scatting. Yeah, you sort of got some scatting out of me, but
You know, I was thinking of when we met. We met at the Tim Sweeney convention. Yeah. So, Darlene, who's Nicholas's wife and manager, and Nick. Sorry, I keep calling you Nick, but it's really not Nick.
that's fine. It's fine.
I never called you Nick before. I don't know why I'm calling you Nick now, but
It's fine with me. Absolutely.
don't be so difficult, man.
I need a little more light on me here. I don't know why. Oh, yeah. Anyway, you were saying.
Yeah. Anyway, so Tim Sweeney.
Oh, there we go. A little more light.
Yeah, that's better. Tim Sweeney was this really interesting person. I'd like to see if what his daughter's into right now. I don't know if you followed her at all, but
Well, I don't, but I think Sherry Williams might. I just spoke with Sherry.
Okay.
You remember Sherry?
Sure.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And so Sherry was actually part of that too. And it might have been Sherry that actually got me there. But Tim was, he was a real entrepreneur and a leader. And he had been in A&R when he was extremely young. And he came up with these ideas. And if you were brave enough to follow them,
Yeah.
and they were pretty outrageously successful ideas, you know?
They were. And, I attribute to them, his focus was more on the rock world initially.
Yeah.
And where he came from.
Yeah.
But we started applying some of his practices to the jazz endeavors we were doing, and a lot of it worked very well. So
Yeah.
yeah, very, very fortunate to have gotten to spend some time with him and glean some knowledge from him. He and Sherry lived very close to each other, physically close to each other.
Right. I still have some of his CDs and stuff, which is cool because I like how he talked,
Yeah. It was quite something.
Has Darlene always been your manager?
No. And she's we don't say manager, we say partner, assistant, guide, focus, whatever. She says manager, but we fight about it.
Oh, really?
I'm just obstinate. That's it.
You don't want the name manager? Or because do you think the word kind of means that she's deciding what you should do?
Well, no, there's a legal aspect of manager too, that she has to be licensed and that kind of thing. So
I see.
we're just a little careful about those kinds of things. So
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But
so
it's okay.
Yeah.
She'll hear all this and she'll probably come in here and hit me over the head with something. So but she certainly acts as a manager. So here she comes. She's going to hit me. Artist rep is how she likes to say it.
Hold on one second. Would you? I'm dying for coffee. Would you make me a Keurig? This is my assistant and manager. So
yeah.
No manager, just assistant, the flunky.
I know you.
Yeah, you and
this
Darlene.
Is tea, by the way. This is tea.
Okay. Well, I need to have some green tea probably.
That's exactly what I'm having. Yeah.
You're two of the people who, in my musical life, know Gary. There's not a lot of people who know Gary because he doesn't really come out and listen to jazz so much,
Mm-hmm.
And so, but us four, we hung out, man. We
did, yes.
Yeah, that was like 2 days or something, right? In the hotel near the airport.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough about that. So that was a really nice video of you. You sounded really good. And that was a while ago, right? 2010, am I correct?
Yeah, that was at a place called iMusic Cats, which is one that they were set up to be for that particular person, they were they were set up to be a video broadcaster of live performances. So they had the sound, everything set up to broadcast over the internet. And they would have a live audience in attendance as well, but it was really set up to be a webcast.
And this was 2010?
Yeah.
Wow. They were kind of ahead of their time.
A guy by the name of Brian Matheson set it up.
Huh.
And that was part of his studio facility there.
Very nice. I think that's like a really great thing to invest in, and have. Yeah, that's really
it was innovative for the time. I probably the revenue stream is why I didn't continue it as to how to make it profitable.
Yeah.
But basically, the artists at that time were pretty much paying to do those broadcasts, and you did it for publicity primarily, and
it came out with that's a great video.
Yeah, absolutely. And the sound
sounded great. Yeah, and you sounded wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, they had a full mixing operation, so you do the performance and then they would actually mix it, put a real mix on it. So you got recording studio quality.
Very nice.
Video. Yeah. So
that's really nice.
I'd certainly like some more of that, but
There's a guy in town here. He's a percussionist. He's worked with a lot of people. He has a little studio, Billy Halting, and he has the show on Thursday nights. But you can see it. You can see his show anytime, because it's always on, and it's kind of pay. People come on and pay if they want.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's BPM. I don't know, something like that. But he has a lot of incredible people come on, and it's a studio, so it sounds good. And I don't know if he records people I'm sure he does. Peter Sprague does that too. He comes out with a lot of concerts, events from his studio, from his home studio in San Diego.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Okay. Good.
He just came out with this video that he put together of Call Me Al, the Paul Simon song.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun. I've been playing it every day because dun 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 dun. It's just a great groove.
Is that something you can throw up really quick?
Yeah. Check this out. It's really fun. It's really cool. Peter Sprague. Yep. Here it is. This is it's too much fun. I won't play the whole thing, but I'll play,
I soft in the middle now? Why am I soft in the middle now? The rest of my life is so hard. I need a photo opportunity. I want a shot of redemption. Don't want to end up a cartoon in a cartoon graveyard. Bone digger, dogs in the moonlight, far away from my well-lit door.
Isn't that cool?
Mr. Beer Belly, get these butts away from me. You know, I don't find.
This is Lisa Hightower.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you go on YouTube, you guys, Peter Sprague plays "You Can Call Me Al." I mean, who doesn't like that song?
Oh yeah, that's fantastic. Great sound too, my goodness.
Yeah, wonderful. And Lisa Hightower, she, I think I might have met her before, but I don't really know her, but she sang that whole song so great. And like somebody else said who saw it, they said, that's the first time I ever really heard the words. And me too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to listen to Paul Simon with headphones in order to clearly get the words. Yeah.
He is so good.
They come at you so quickly too.
Yeah. Yeah. That whole African thing that he did was just so delicious, you know, it was so great. And yeah, a few weeks ago, I was watching them live on a stage in New York, you know, with the I think it was 4 or 5 male singers from Africa. It
wasn't the outdoor concert, was it?
Yes.
Yes, I know where you're talking about.
It was divine. It was just divine. It just has
and that bass player
what we're looking for.
That bass player,
yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. Really wonderful. Real heartwarming. Oh, Dan posted, this is Dan Davila. I don't know if you remember him, kind of a blonde guy. Thank you, my assistant. My assistant. Thank you.
Got your coffee.
So,
cheers.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Same to you.
So Dan said he posted, and maybe we'll look at that, one of the shows at the Blue Whale with you, and he forgot that Dana Stevens was playing with you.
Yes.
Yeah. So I interviewed him a few weeks ago. It's great.
Lovely Dana Stevens, yes.
I have a question from Taylor Hatch, who's a guitar player. He's curious if you have any feeling about the differences between the LA and the San Francisco scene, or even East Coast and West Coast.
Not really. I mean, every area has its group of top level musicians, I think.
Yeah.
I think LA probably has more, just by ratio, has more artists who are in the industry, who are high level artists.
Yeah.
Bay Area has a lot of people who live here that are high level artists, because I guess just because of the living circumstances here, or the area, the weather, that sort of thing. And I don't really know enough about who's where and all that to make a really strong decision about it. I will say that the East Coast players seem a little more intense, particularly New York and Philly and those areas. Yeah, a little more intense in
when you travel there.
Endeavors.
When you travel there, do you use local people?
Yeah. I mean, the days of taking a band around, unless you're top shelf artist with label support and that kind of thing. Yeah,
those days are kind of past.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. I don't know if they're past, because I mean, when you do European tours, hopefully you get funding to where you can bring your band, because you certainly don't want to go to Europe and pick up random players not knowing what you're getting.
I had a friend tell me a really interesting thing. Really good guitar player, like my feeling like a West Coast Schofield, and he had a guy tell him, who he respected, and I just think it's a great idea. Instead of making that next record, bring the band to Europe.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I thought, wow, okay, yeah. I think that's a really cool idea, because the response in Europe is definitely different than the response in America. I think just the audience is more desirous, of of coming out and hearing you, and they're more tolerant of your experimentations, not tolerant even, but excited by your experimentations, you know?
Yeah. I think we have some, what I would call jazz deserts in the US,
Yeah.
where people don't really know the music. And they might
Yeah.
know hip hop, and they might know certainly the rock scene and that kind of thing. But as far as jazz itself, they might not know a lot about it unless there's a university
Yeah.
area that has a jazz program. So yeah, so I think Europeans broadly might have a little more broader palette music-wise.
Yeah.
That's just a generalization. That's not true in every respect, and
Right.
certainly not true in every country.
Yeah.
So it's just a general comment.
I think I think a part of it anyway is because the government is so supportive of art.
Of the
You
arts,
know?
yeah.
Yeah. And so, when I mean, even Japan, you go, you walk in the streets into the subway and Charlie Parker is playing. It's not just like some, lighthearted something. It's the real stuff. They just think it's cool, and
Yeah.
so, but
And I don't know how it is now, but when I was actively some of my records, I've actually done a lot of promotions myself, to where I actually got on the phone calling up radio stations and that kind of thing. And my interactions with Japan, I found out that the percentage of actual jazz lovers in Japan is like a percentage of a percentage. It's a really small number, but they're so devout,
dedicated. Yeah,
yeah,
it's true.
just so enthusiastic about it. I did an engagement there in '98, and the way it was set up, I had 45 minutes set, then I had 15 minutes between that, and then it just, this was not a show situation. This was just me singing in the. I'll tell you where it was. The movie Lost in Translation.
Yes.
That bar, that lounge, that
in the hotel or the other one?
In the hotel.
Yes,
Where
yes.
he would go to after those days of shooting.
Yes.
That was the lounge that I played in. That exact
funny.
Yeah.
That's funny, man.
4 hours a night, 6 nights a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm talking about grueling.
I've been there. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Grueling. But my first night there, I met one of the I don't know, he might have been a janitor or somebody there at the hotel. And we shared the elevator to my room in this little 15-minute window. And this guy got to talking about Charlie Parker. He talked about Dizzy Gillespie. He sang all these concerts, 1956, such and such and such with it. And these guys were on the bandstand with, and this is just a guy who worked in the hotel, but he had it all down. And I mean, I was embarrassed because I didn't know I didn't know these dates, and I didn't know who was playing with Dizzy on this date and that kind of thing. Oh, it's just wonderful,
That's so cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And really passionate about the music. A small audience, but the audience is really dedicated and passionate to it. So
yeah, I found that over the years. I've been there, many, many years.
that's right. You've been there.
Yeah.
Times, yeah.
Yeah. I was supposed to go in March of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, I'm not sure I should go. And it was probably a good thing that I didn't go at that time because, everything started shutting down. But yeah, now I go at least once a year, but just, can't go there.
And what region do you go to?
Well, these days I go to 3 places. I go to Hiroshima, Osaka, and Tokyo. I have a lot of students there, and I always do gigs, but I have traveled pretty much throughout the whole of Japan because in the early years, I had a booking agent guy who booked me and this American piano player over there for 10 years, 3 times a year, like everywhere. We went on the road everywhere.
Okay. Really?
So, yeah, some great funny stories, funny stories. Like one time I remember it was pouring and we got to the place late and we went upstairs into some kind of an attic type of place and we both changed and you couldn't stand up. So we were like lying down and both of us changing there, just shit like that,
That's funny.
Oh gosh. But anyway, a lot of great times there. It was really
Yeah.
good. And I really grew a lot there. And this piano player was kind of like he was kind of like a, his name is right there. Anyway, famous modern jazz player, Keith Jarrett. So he was kind of like a Keith Jarrett style player. So we really, we grew a lot there, because we experimented and it was fine because we were in Japan. It was no problem. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I played Osaka. It's been a while ago. But I played with a Japanese piano player who sang like what's his name? The very thought of you.
Nat King Cole or something?
No. That did the album with Coltrane.
Johnny
Hartman.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Sounded exactly like
Oh my God.
Hartman. I mean, had no understanding of what he was saying. It was all phonetic. But his voice and the tone and the inflection was all Johnny Hartman. It's just
Oh my
amazing.
gosh.
And then he'd stand up and he couldn't speak any English at all.
That happened a lot, especially with piano players. When I first went there, I found a lot of piano players were copying, and the bass players weren't. They were, I don't know why, they were brought up somehow a little different, but the piano players were all copying, some of the great standard piano players. So they sounded like them. But, and then
you're gonna copy somebody, why not?
Yeah.
Great. So.
And then at some point, probably about 20 years ago or so, that's when the more modern stuff started coming in. And I guess the young people coming up it was just kind of ripe for them, to break out of that, And now there's some really, truly incredible players over there,
Yeah, and I think the education system has a lot to do with that.
Uh-huh.
That they're not only learning the classical method, but they're learning jazz method and jazz theory and all of that. So yeah. And that's happening kind of worldwide, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anywhere where jazz touches and leaves a mark, you might say.
Yeah.
The education system is followed.
Okay, Taylor, who's got great questions. He was on he was on yesterday with me because I had a experiment day yesterday. Somebody postponed, and so I invited the audience on, and it went through this funny period of time in the beginning and then settled into about 4 people. And we had some great talks, and Taylor has a lot of great questions. And his next question is, he's curious in terms of vocal pedagogy, what is your philosophy on working towards being an effective teacher? I have to say, Nicolas is a really good teacher too. Do you always have an objective to teach a student to be more creative when you first encounter them?
Wow.
I'm telling you, he has good questions. Yeah.
Steve, wow. Well, of course, the objective is always to make everyone better at it, and also increase my understanding of what's going on with people and with the singing process itself.
Yeah.
Because I learned from many times I'll open my mouth and say something and realize that I've said something that I'd never put into words, but it's something I thought about or felt for a long time. So
I know how I know what it feels like. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So my objective is always that the student comes out of the encounter learning something, or learning how to push beyond something, or just learning to recognize what they've done, what they can do, and what's possible. And other than that, I don't have any lofty goals in the endeavor,
I was just thinking about that, and I was imagining you teaching, because I've seen you teach, and then I was thinking about other teachers that I've seen, and Taylor, I think that's a question. I think that's like a default question, like we were talking about yesterday. I think a good teacher teaches like that. They want this student in front of them to be better, right? And to
Yeah.
be creative. And I mean, I've seen a lot of teachers because I had like at least 16 years of workshops here in my house, and it wasn't, it was, you know, maybe a quarter of me and 3/4 of other people coming into town and stuff. So I've seen a lot of people teaching. There were a few times that I was biting my tongue, but not many.
Yeah.
I think it's fascinating because a good singer and a good teacher will, like if you got five of those people together and then who are watching somebody perform, we would all see the same thing, but we would go about teaching in a different way because,
Sure.
you know, we're all individuals.
And it also depends, of course, on what the objective is laid out. I mean, if you're teaching scatting, there's a certain vocabulary you're going to teach,
Right.
possibly a certain methodology that you're going to use.
Yeah.
If you're just teaching technical aspects, scales, or how to stay in tune, all of that, those are things with definite objectives. But if someone comes to you and says, well, I want to do this song, tell me what you think. Well, then, you know, there's a lot of possibilities here. So we can talk about your breathing, your support system. We can talk about your articulation. We can talk about your pitch. We can talk about your intentions, your focus. You know, there's so many different things you can talk about and hopefully help them advance without being teaching a specific. I don't even want to try the word pedagogy. So, you know,
You said it.
you know, yeah, I said it, but that's probably the last time I say it. You know, I'm not teaching a particular thing about, you know, well, these are the notes and you must sing it this way, and the meter is here and you must sing in the meter here.
Yeah,
you know, because it's jazz and everything is subject to interpretation.
Yeah. It's interesting when you find yourself looking at the necessity of teaching something like, for instance, groove. That was a subject that came up a lot over the years of workshops.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting to think about how you teach groove, you know.
Yeah.
Jay Clayton Jay Clayton did something cool. She used to have the student walk around the room in time, you know, like 1, 2, 3, and it would instill groove, but she didn't break it down into words, you know.
That's interesting. That's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
I'll have to try that when I get offline here and walk around a little bit, because you're going to put your own sort of step into it.
Yeah.
And what we do, of course, with American music is we do all this subdivision. That's this nuanced subdivision. It's in jazz and funk and soul and all that. There's this nuanced subdivision that everybody has their own take of this subdivision, and it's distinct and unique to each person.
Right.
And so, you know, I tried to, when I was in Russia, I was trying to teach many drummers just the kind of pocket I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
And I would frequently get this question: what is pocket? What is pocket?
Right.
Because many times the shuffle would wind up being basically a polka, a oompa kind of feel, which is not what I wanted, but that's where they would head, because that's their culture. That's comes out of their culture. So you'd hear this kind of going into this, you know, polka kind of feel. It's like, no, that's not it. You know, it's somewhere between that and, you know, strict meter. It's a little bit off of that. It's a little bit ahead, it's a little bit behind. You know, you got to find your own place to be in that, you know.
I had
and hopefully it's something that I like.
Yeah. I have a friend, Armando Compian, who's a bass player and a singer, very soulful. And he had this thing for bossa nova groove. I gotcha, I getcha, I gotcha, I getcha. And students took it, and I heard them work with that like years later, you know. So yeah, it's, I mean,
I gotcha, I gotcha, Okay, yeah, that works.
Right.
That works.
Hey, Gary Meeks is here. Gary Meek. Sorry, Gary.
Gary Meek, how long? Man, it's been so long, man.
That's what he said, man. He played on one of your records.
Yes, he did. The best things in life are free.
Oh.
That's it, yeah.
Nice,
I
right?
don't think I have a YouTube of it, but
yeah. Maybe we can show this
yeah, I put you up for best
at the Blue Whale.
I put you up for best jazz solo that year, Grammy nomination.
See that? Hold on one second, sorry. I was gonna jump in here.
Gary, I hope everything's going great for you and your family.
There you go, Gary. Gary. I don't know. This might have to shrink down.
What is this now? You're just putting Blue Whale.
Yeah.
Best thing in life.
I want to talk about you. So this is with Dana and Josh Nelson and Lorca and Edwin in 2017, not so long ago.
About a night in June, oh, a shady lane, beneath a veiled moon. Don't tell me, 'cause I wanna talk about you. Don't mention,
Beautiful tone.
Yes.
don't mention that waterfall or that grassy spot where the crickets softly call.
Josh Nelson.
Yeah.
'Cause I wanna talk about you.
That's Dan Snell on drums.
The moon.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I think that's Dan
All
on
the
drums.
objects on my
You think what?
It's Dan Snell on drums.
No, I think it's Lorca Hart. Let's see. So here, yeah, Lorca Hart.
Was the question. Your answers through back
More there.
heaven's door. So tell me, your love will be sincere, then, my darling. You needn't ever fear, 'cause I love you. And I want to talk about you.
Oh God, Josh, Mr. Fluidity. He's such a beautiful player.
He really is a beautiful player.
The moon and the stars, all the objects on Mars. These things we've talked of before. But your love for me was the question.
You hear the toms on the end?
Yeah.
That's a little joke between Lorca and I.
Oh.
He does. It's like what do you call it? Oh God, I can't think of it. It's the movie with the chariot races in it.
Oh.
Do. He always pulls that out in the end. Ben-Hur.
Oh.
That's that Ben-Hur moment.
That's funny.
Yeah. That Edwin Livingston also is a marvelous bass player.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
great.
Great sense of humor and great sense of style, and his playing is just spot on.
I know.
Really great people.
Yeah, I totally agree. He's a great player, and then he's just so funny.
Yeah.
He's so dear.
Yeah. Yeah, he'll slip those little one-liners in there somewhere.
He's so funny, man.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Thank you for pulling that out. I'd forgotten about that. Blue Whale. We missed the Blue Whale already, don't we?
Totally.
Yeah, I've only played there, I think, twice, but I went to a couple of concerts there as well. So
Yeah, I went there the other day. I was in the neighborhood, and I didn't even want to take a picture because it was too. It just was so not the memories that I have, So.
well, it's closed. It is closed now, right?
Oh yeah, it's closed, and there's a lounge bar, like a food and bar lounge that took over. I don't know if they're open actually, but I peeked inside and I actually saw some tables where the music part of the Blue Whale starts. They were actually up on a little like a little floor, a little raised floor. But I was like, I can't even take a picture of this. It's too sad.
Too bad, yeah.
Yeah. Weren't you in town recently recording?
Yeah, I recorded the beginnings of my Christmas project.
Oh, cool.
All these many years, usually right about Christmas time or shortly thereafter, I think, well, I should have recorded some Christmas music.
Yeah.
It's usually right like the month before Christmas to go, oh man, I should have recorded. I would have had something for sale or something, something to play on the radio or something like that. So Josh and I did, Josh did a couple of arrangements of some Christmas tunes, one that I wrote, and then My Favorite Things, which is one of my favorite holiday pieces. I don't actually consider it Christmas song per se, but one of my favorite holiday pieces. And so we did those two arrangements. I did them for a show at SF Jazz in mid-December. And I said, well, since we're doing this, why don't we just record them after the fact? And we were going to record them here in the Bay Area. But then I realized that I wasn't quite settled with the pieces yet.
Yeah.
And I wanted to use a good friend of mine, Nelson Braxton, who plays with Michael Bolton, has been with Michael for many years. And Nelson lives down there in Riverside. And I said, you know what, let's wait until after Christmas. Maybe we can put this all together. So we went down to Tritone and wound up doing 4 Christmas pieces.
Cool.
With Josh, Will Brom, do you know Will?
Absolutely.
Guitar.
Yeah.
Guitar.
Yeah.
Nelson Braxton on bass and Dan Schnell on the drums. So we
cool.
have those in the can. I have yet to lay a real vocal on them, but they're in the can, and throughout the year I'll be working on that, and hopefully by Christmas they'll be done and on the radio somewhere, hopefully.
That's cool. That's great. Yeah. How many albums do you have?
I have 6 officially, and there's a 7th ghost album that floats around, but it's not a bootleg. It's just kind of it's something I did that I wasn't pushing, but lo and behold, it turns up on the internet all the time. So,
does it? Huh? How funny.
And I make no money from it. So somebody got it and posted it.
Oh, really? God.
Yeah.
You don't even make the .0001
Oh,
from
no,
Spotify or
no,
anything?
I don't even make that. No.
Shit.
Yeah. I know. It's the one without the barcode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, barcodes.
Barcodes.
Wow,
Yeah.
you just made me think of something. I have to actually send a message to somebody about that. Wow, thank you for even just saying that word. Yeah. Oh,
Well, I'm glad I could help. So
yeah. Okay. Wow, thank you. Yeah, that
yeah.
was
So I'll take the
almost.
0.00001 cents from that. Thank you, Sam.
Oh. Let's see. Yeah, Gary said he's fine, and he also said we have to meet everyone where they are at also, probably
Yeah,
regarding
yeah,
teaching and stuff.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. And Gary, what a
and
great player Gary is. And oh my goodness.
wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful player. And he was on my show, gosh, I don't know, Gary, a year ago or so, something like that,
Yeah.
long
Okay.
time ago.
Well, thank you, Gary. Thank you for checking in.
Cecily Gardner, you know Cess.
I know Cecily. Hi,
She's
Cecily.
she was commenting on the teaching groove. She said she sometimes has students skip to feel a swing groove.
Hmm.
Interesting. Also sing a nursery song like Ring Around the Rosie.
Well, you're not teaching people with bad knees. If you got them skipping.
Speaking of bad knees, yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Gary said, I guess he must be talking about the song you recorded. It was up tempo and in B.
Yeah, it was the best things in life for free.
Oh.
Yeah, and he blazed on it. Boy, he smoked that too.
That's fun.
Yeah, the best things in life for free. That's on my album Visions.
Oh, cool. Maybe we
Yeah.
can hear that. Okay, I have another Taylor question. Ready?
Okay, here we go. Let me get my encyclopedias out here.
There's one big word, but I think you know it. When you were in the works of refining your artistic voice,
Oh,
I mean, just that alone
yeah.
is like makes me think. What was the biggest epiphany that you had that gave you inspiration? Taylor, I'm going to steal that question. I like that. I'm going to put it on my list. So, what was the biggest epiphany that you had that gave you inspiration as you were, kind of defining your sound?
Wow, what a question. I'll
I
have to
know,
mull
isn't
that
that a
over.
good question?
I don't know if I had any epiphanies while in the process. I've been singing since I was literally about that high.
Yeah,
To the point where I don't know when I began singing. I was
yeah.
always singing. So I never really had an epiphany about it that I can recall, except any epiphany I may have had would probably be more related to performing rather than singing.
Okay, yeah.
Usually about confidence on stage, or well, I did go through a moment where I had been kind of singing in the background. I went through several years where I was really intimidated by what was happening here in the Bay Area. There were so many great players. I mean, Santana, Larry Graham, this group Kraken, Tower of Power. I mean, these were all like, they were really hitting. And the Escovedo family, all that kind of stuff. And I'd go to a club and they would be playing so intensely and so wonderfully. And I just didn't feel I had the stuff to do that. So what I realized I needed to do was to study, and to study quietly and just confidently approach this music and find out what really felt comfortable to me and what I figured I could do at the level I was at. So I basically went into this stealth mode where I would just sit in nightclubs from the beginning of their sets until the end of the night, and then just go home. And generally, I wouldn't even talk to anybody. I'd just sit there and listen and watch, see how they performed, see what they were doing musically, what I could understand, because I didn't have a lot of technical background, but just hearing how it was all interlaced, how it was put together, how the performances were laid out? Did people have set lists prepared? Did they, was this impromptu? Was this, improvising this and that? And I did that for several years. And then I realized that I needed to perform at a certain point, that I'd learned enough, I'd gleaned enough information to where I needed to get out in front of people and start utilizing some of this information. And at the time I was doing R&B, so I wasn't really doing jazz. It wasn't really in my purview at that time. And I hooked up with a dance band, a party band, and played nightclubs. We did weddings, we did all kinds of stuff, but it was a 3-person front, 2 women and myself. And we did party music, playing in sweaty clubs, just doing it at a time when you could do that. You can't put that many people in a club now. So, but that was that's the biggest epiphany. Is I reached a point where I realized that you can study and look and observe and all that kind of stuff, but until you actually start doing it yourself, you're not putting it into practice, anything that you've gleaned. And once you start putting it into practice, then you can bring it all into focus in some kind of way.
Yeah.
And that for me was the moment when a career started to develop. Everything else up to that point, I'd been with bands in Japan and that kind of stuff, but I sort of took it for granted. It just came to me.
Yeah.
The opportunities came to me, and I played and I performed and all that kind of stuff, but I didn't really have a design or career focus.
Yeah.
So epiphany, I didn't have any like, the lightning happens and the sky opens up and like, this is your path, son. But just realizing that I needed to perform in order to make all of this information useful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's when it started. That was the early 80s. And I started with this dance band. I did that for about 2 years. I just had my tonsils taken out. And I saw an ad for this band, and they needed a singer to replace someone who was one of the errant singers in the group who was partying in the wrong kind of way. And I stepped into it. It was high pressure. I still have the book of lyrics, which is about that thick.
Really?
I had to learn about half of that book in order to do the first gig. And I couldn't be on stage reading lyrics. I had to know them. I had to memorize them. So luckily about half of that material was stuff I knew or had some, and the rest I had to learn. I had to memorize. And it was a dance band that had a program that they were doing. So I had to learn all of that. Stepped into that and did that for about 2 years. And at the end of that 2 years, I realized I was getting to a point where I didn't want to be falling down on my knees begging, please, 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 and all that kind of stuff. And then I was starting to look at the jazz world. And that's when I started branching out into jazz.
Yeah.
And so it all kind of came from that moment. So.
Where did you have, like we mentioned Johnny Hartman before, did you have certain singers that were just kind of your almost mentors, even if you didn't know them, just kind of following them?
Well, the great West Indian singer John Lucien was just really high on my I just loved it. And there was no way I was going to try to recreate his voice, because he had a bass baritone voice that was unlike anything I've heard. I mean, even Jeffrey Porter it's different than what John Lucien had.
Definitely.
But he was a great inspiration to me. Of course, Nat Cole and Hartman, and all of them were always in the mix, even before I started singing jazz. I mean, it's just kind of the singers of the time. Doing R&B, you're always kind of imitating the groups, the popular groups that are out there at that time. That was what was going on. So you did Earth, Wind and Fire, like Earth, Wind and Fire. You did
Tower of Power,
like Kool and the Gang, or you did Tower of Power, like, and you put your own little spin on it, but you're basically just recreating their music for an audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not specific. My palette is too broad in terms of music that I love.
Yeah.
Dionne Warwick, Johnny Mathis, Johnny Hartman and all of them came later for me. Billy Eckstine, I knew his music early on. Oh God, I mean the Supremes, all the Motown catalog. So all of that was music I listened to. It was really a broad spectrum.
Yeah. I I interviewed Flora Purim.
Oh, really?
And yeah,
It's always
and
been interesting to me. Yeah.
well, I hadn't really thought about it until I interviewed her. I'm sure it's not that I didn't notice, but I didn't realize that she was a leader at the time when there was no vocal like what she was doing when she first started, like
yeah.
with Chick and stuff. There was no modern jazz vocalists happening at that moment,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
And Light as a Feather, Clear Days.
that was definitely part of
yeah.
what I was listening to, and I'm sure you were too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. When I came to the Bay Area, there was a radio station here, and my wife gets tired of me talking about this, but there's a radio station here called KRE Radio.
Yeah.
It started playing jazz in about 1974.
Uh-huh.
And they would play, they had all this sort of religious and sort of, I'll say, conservative philosophical stuff going on throughout the day. And then promptly at 3 or 4 o'clock, they would switch to jazz. And what they would switch to immediately was like Chick Corea, Miles, and then they would throw in like Chaka Khan, and it was really progressive radio. George Duke. You weren't hearing these on jazz stations.
Yeah.
You'd hear the traditionalists on the jazz station, but you weren't hearing this progressive music that's blended with R&B on traditional radio.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this station was very revolutionary and got very popular very quick, and went to 24 hours. And then they bought an AM station, so it was AM and FM.
Oh,
Playing this, simulcasting.
yeah.
And so this was a lot. This is where I first heard John Lucien and of course Chick Corea and all of those guys. And they played all the the greats, Dizzy Gillespie and all that as well. So they had a real deep mix of music, because R&B was in there as well as this progressive new wave jazz and fusion and all of that. It was really remarkable.
Yeah, it was great. And then there was like the Woodstock crew and the Motown crew.
Yeah.
I mean, and it wasn't like they were being ignored at all. We were all listening to all that too. It was
absolutely.
really such a rich time of music. Yeah.
Yeah. Hendrix, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's all of that. Yeah. Yeah. So it's influenced a lot of what I do. And, you didn't hear Hendrix in that. I want to talk about you, but,
Well, I'm going to send you a copy of my latest record, Social Anthems Volume 1, which
please do.
we took some, 60s, 70s, and later songs. It's actually just 6 songs, but we used Josh and Edwin and Lorca and Anthony Wilson. And it was, and I have Volume 2 in the works, and even Volume 3 we're imagining now. But so it's interesting to go back to those songs and sing them now. It's challenging actually, because you have to meet yourself. It's
What are some of the songs?
Let's see. For What It's Worth, I have an original on there, and So It Goes by Billy Joel. Down to Earth, Peter Gabriel. Get Together, Come On People Now. That one.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of mixed that with Can't Find My Way Home. And actually the epic song, which is the last song, Save the Children.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, that turned out to be epic, and it's long. And I had Mon David sing with me, and I really love it. I love the whole record. It's a really good record. And
I can't wait.
yeah. The band is so great. Oh my God. And Josh and Anthony both arranged, half of the project.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Oh, that sounds exciting.
Yeah, but I'm working on the number 2, and it's it's challenging for me. I mean, I just have to do it over and over and over again,
In
sing.
what way?
Well, okay, so the music's already down, and so practicing the vocal part, and I bring it into GarageBand or Logic, and so I can play around with what I hear, because maybe I just hear too much drums in a section, or, so I'm kind of producing and practicing my singing at the same time. And over the last many, many years, I've leaned more towards modern jazz singing.
Okay.
Utilizing space, especially in the instrumentation, and so somehow using that and crossing over into old material like that is very different, and challenging.
You find it challenging, yeah.
Yeah, very challenging.
Yeah.
And I still have all of that old stuff in there, because
Yeah.
we grew up with it, right? And listened to it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to, I've never thought that I was particularly brilliant at singing the song from off the page. I thought that my better singing was creating something that was not off the page. So I guess that's kind of, I'm somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah.
I'm stuck in the middle. It's like,
Yeah. I find that for myself, that when I do an arrangement, I hear the arrangement first.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily hear the vocal or how it will ultimately wind up. But I'm being a little more relaxed about when I start singing the vocal, because I want the arrangement to soak in and then sing according to the arrangement and not according to the original melody necessarily.
Right.
But to allow myself to be able to create with this new arrangement and not focus on that or get stuck in the original melody parameters.
Yeah.
So, which is a little different, a little difficult. And I just have to take time.
Yeah.
And let it soak in. Like I just listened to this work we did a week and a half ago. Is it a week and a half ago? Yeah. And I hear different things there already. So, it'll probably take me another month or so to read.
I see your assistant.
See this.
Hi, Darlene.
See my artist rep with extension cords and tools.
Here.
Camera's got you on. So.
Yeah, that's an interesting. It is what it is, and the different. Like I had 3 arrangers on this latest project, and.
Did you allow them to just arrange freely, or did you have some guidance in how you wanted it structured?
Most of what they wanted, and then a little bit of feedback from me. But I think in the next project, I'm going to do that kind of opposite. But still, I don't mind that so much. But I feel like every opportunity that presents itself is just an opportunity to grow, and to do something.
Yeah.
Like Social Anthems Volume 1, I think came out really well, and it's getting a lot of response that's good. And I think that, like, I came up with background vocals, and I asked 2 people to be on it, and so things happened because it presented itself to me as kind of a challenge,
Right. Yeah.
So
That's good. Again, I'm anxious to hear it now.
yeah, I'll be interested to see what you think.
Yeah, it sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Really sounds exciting.
So are these days, do you feel like you're, have you been, like, through this last few years, have you been, do you feel like you've been really working on musical creations, or have you kind of stepped back a little? I'm pretty sure that everybody in the beginning stepped back, like about 6 months of stepping back. Like, what? I
You
don't
mean
even want to
during
sing.
COVID? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to
Yeah,
go
I
into
really
practice.
kind of shut down and went into hibernation in a way.
Yeah.
Because I mean, really, this is bizarre. The freeways were empty. Every place you'd go to was empty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very few people around, and if you went to a store or something, you had to stand outside in a line 6 feet apart and wait to go in to get your hands sprayed and make sure your mask is on, and seniors were there in the morning and that kind of thing. So it was very bizarre, and I think because we were, of course, in the winter when this really kicked in, the natural herb is just to kind of urge us just to kind of hibernate, which is what we did here, and just sit down and try to figure out. And at one point I said, "Oh, this has been an excellent opportunity to study piano and enhance my skills." But I think emotionally, it just really caught me off guard. It just was not a creative period for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just the opposite, as a matter of fact. In fact, I stopped reading a lot. A lot of days just passed in blurs. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and I realized at one point I just have to ride whatever my emotions are and just let them play out and get through it.
Yeah.
So my concern was for my family, to make sure everybody was healthy and stayed that way, and we cocooned here. And as things let up a little bit, then music started coming back into the picture. But there were I had a series of great concerts in New York and other places. In fact, I had a 4-day stand as a headliner in New York, and
Oh,
all of
God.
that went up in smoke. Yeah.
Yeah, real life changer. Huh.
Yeah. So we just basically cocooned, as I said, just kind of held everything close. And as things opened up, I started to here and there book some just Zoom, or not Zoom, but like Facebook Live concerts and stuff, but with no audiences. And we did that for, I think, about 2 or 3 months in, we started doing that. But very unsatisfying,
Yeah.
to perform to an empty room and finish a song and there's silence in the room.
Yeah.
Reminded me of my days in that hotel I was telling you about. That was a 3-month engagement.
Right.
6 nights a week, 4 hours a night.
Yeah.
And the Japanese were being very courteous. You know this applause?
Yes, I do.
That applause. So I would finish these songs. This is in the hotel. I would finish these songs with the big Christ on the cross finish, and great the piano player. And it was just me and a piano player.
Oh gosh.
He'd be, and finish, and it'd be this. So I wrote a blues song that I called "Another Night in Tumbleweed." I actually sang for him, and then there was choreography. Tumbleweeds flowing across.
Oh God.
They had no idea what I was talking about, of course. I don't think. Anyway.
No, right.
But yeah, but that's what doing these online concerts felt like to me. It was just of course, a great joy singing with a great piano player, Glenn Pearson, who's based here in the Bay Area. And we did some songs that I'd never done, some that I had wanted to do all my life, and so we put some new songs. And
cool!
Tried out some different things and all that kind of stuff, but with no audience response. It's just did not feel good to me. So
yeah,
we did that for a while. We got some nice little donations, and originally, the little online tip jar kind of thing that was actually quite lucrative for a minute. But then after about the third one, you could feel the audience start to taper off. Like,
yeah,
good friend of mine, a producer up here, Larry Batiste.
Yeah.
So I talked to Larry about this, and he said, "Man," he says, "if I see one more person's living room, I'm gonna be about done."
Yeah, it seemed like people were a lot lazier about the quality that they were putting out. It was like, yeah, here I am in my kitchen. I'm gonna,
in your pajamas.
Yeah, exactly.
My jeans and a raggedy T-shirt, and I'm doing jazz in my kitchen. That kind of thing. So a good friend of mine who unfortunately passed away would see these. He was in New Orleans at the time, but he would see these. He said, "Man, I wish I could do his New Orleans accent," but he said, "Brother, you still performing. Just cause you online, you performing. So dress like you performing." It's like, I got it. You're right. Absolutely. So yeah, he really chastised me for that. It's like, don't come up here in no T-shirt. Yeah, so
yeah, it's easy to forget that, there is I love how Dan is like, feeding me this. You doing Tobacco Road at Yoshi's.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Let's look at that.
What about it?
Let's look at that, baby.
I think that's just the album cover, right?
Let's see. Let us see. Whoops, where am I? I don't know where. Wait, where am I? Here, hold on. Those are pictures.
That's you.
Okay, here we go. I should have brought it up first, probably. Okay.
I thought I'd just resurrect this one for the fun of it.
It's a real performance.
And that's Nat Adderley Jr. on piano there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to do that monologue because I know you expected that. I don't remember the whole thing. I just remember. Okay, this is what I remember in the monologue. Chicago, cold, left. That's pretty much it, right? Pretty much the whole story. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't been there, the snow comes down like this. It doesn't fall. None of that mess. It's like. And don't ever land in Chicago in the winter.
That's so true.
You'll land like this. Anyway, enough of that. He said, I was born in a dump. My mama died and my daddy got drunk. He left me here to die or grow in a place called Tobacco. I grew up in a rusty shack. All I had was a hanging on my back. Lord knows how I loathe this place called Tobacco Road. But it's a home, the only life I've ever known. And the Lord knows I love Tobacco Road. Well, I'm gonna leave and get a job with the help and the grace of a God. Save my money and get rich, I know, and bring it back to Tobacco Road. Bring dynamite and a crane, I'll blow it up and start all over again. I will build a town I'll be proud to show and keep the name Tobacco Road. As it's a home, yeah, the only life I've ever known. Well, and the Lord knows I know Tobacco Road. Yeah, you want to hear solo right now?
Great Nat Adderley Jr.
Nat Adderley Jr., yeah.
Yeah, buddy. I haven't seen this in a long time.
Said I love you, yeah, 'cause you're my home. But today in your building, Tobacco Road, I'm going to be some man, Lord, and I'll give me a claim. I don't know when I hurt, turn down, and start all over again. Tobacco Road, Tobacco Road. Talking about Tobacco Road,
Wow.
I thought I just resurrected some fun.
This where was this? An auditorium?
This was San Francisco Yoshi's.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, so there for a few years they tried to do San Francisco Yoshi's and bigger venue, 500 plus seats, and auditorium like.
Yeah.
In its setting. I think that's one of its downfalls. It actually was, kind of overbuilt, I think, for jazz. So they had problems with sound in the room and
Oh.
that kind of thing. It took them a while to kind of dial that in, and it was, and they made it more costly and more crowded, and it just just kind of a lot of elements that didn't quite sync up correctly. It was a good attempt. San Francisco could have used that.
Yeah,
at
that sounded great. Oh God, Nat sounded amazing.
Isn't he fantastic? I mean, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a great honor to work with him.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, one of our great losses, John Shiflett on bass.
Oh.
Yeah, who passed a few years ago, and we lost a great player there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you always been in San Francisco?
I lived in LA for about 2.5, 3 years in the early 70s. Actually, when I came out, it's the first place I actually lived in California was Los Angeles. Although I had been visiting the Bay Area.
Wait, where were you from?
Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, born and raised in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, where everybody's now moving to.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many people are keep moving there lately.
Yeah, well, it's a music mecca, and it always was, but I mean, more for country music at that time.
Yeah.
But now it's like everything. I mean, gospel. There's jazz players there. The Wooten brothers are based there. So it's grown quite amazingly.
Yeah. Why did you move? Actually,
still Nashville. Trust me.
Why did you move? Was it musical or was it some other reason?
I'm sorry, why did I move here?
Why did you move out of Nashville?
I went to the military. I'd never been anywhere in my entire life, and I went to the military, and wound up going to went to Texas for basic training, and went to Mississippi for technical training, and then I went to Japan for 2 marvelous years. Oh God. And that's where I met my artist rep. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
My artist rep in Japan.
Was she in the Army?
She was a flight attendant at the time.
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah. So we met there. We, actually wound up living together there for a short while. Wow. Well, when she was in town, we had a place there. And then she was living here in Northern California. And so when I ended my term in Japan, I came out to visit her here in Northern California and fell in love with Oakland. It was so crazy fun at the time. So much stuff going on, music everywhere, parties, people, the people that I met. I was just, oh my God, I found my life. And so I moved to LA.
Makes sense.
Because I thought LA was just an extension of what was here. I'd never been, to California at all. I just thought California, it's all like it's one big place. And I moved to LA, and I must say, honestly, the day that I arrived there, I realized I'd made a mistake. not the marriage thing, but just the location. It was something about the immensity of it. I don't know. It was just an instinctive thing. It's like, this is not good. Yeah. And I loved Northern California, and we come back here frequently, visit friends and hang around and stuff, and this is where I wanted to be. So about 2.5 years in LA, realized I wanted to be here. I came back here, and I've been here ever since. This is home. This is home base. So. Yeah.
Cool. My friend Roland says, Nicolas, do you ever sweat? You sound and look so cool, calm, and collected, always in control. Love your voice.
Don't look at the internals. Look at the externals. I had this conversation with somebody the other day. They said, well, you don't ever have stage fright. I said, usually until I step on stage. I have some measure. It's not stage fright. It's just anticipation, some anxiety about something. Am I going to remember the lyrics to this song? And this arrangement, maybe I'm going to have to piece this together while I'm on stage, that kind of thing. And then I step on stage and I go into another mode. Yeah. Just another mentality. Yeah. But I'm glad I look cool on stage. So,
You do. I bet you have quotes about that too. You know,
well,
the calm, smooth Nicolas
well,
Bearde.
the never let them see you sweat kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But there's sometimes when things go wrong on stage, when don't go quite as you expected. I shouldn't say wrong, quite as you expected,
Absolutely.
and the flop sweat happens, and the armpits start to fell. But you can't see.
Right.
Luckily, you can't see that through the suit or whatever, But it's like, oh, it's raining. It's raining.
I saw a friend Sunday. I he's got a beautiful voice, very kind of rich and unusual. He had a band that was put together by the bass player, and great band, but they had never met. So, he was kind of winging it. But I saw, probably nobody else in the room saw a few moments, scattered, where something weird happened. And he was so cool. I told him later, I said, nobody else saw it. And I just wanted to tell you, I was totally impressed with how you handled them. It was just he didn't make anyone wrong. Nobody else knew anything was amiss, Like there was one time when the musicians I think they didn't go to the right key for this bridge.
Oh, yeah.
He was looking for it, musically.
Yeah.
But he was so smooth about it. It was just as if he was, it was as if he was singing the melody. And then when the musicians ended up playing it after he sang, they found the key. And then, of course, you could hear it totally. But,
yeah. Well, these things happen for various reasons. That's why, years ago, I used to rely on some kind of haphazardly thrown together charts. And then sometimes I would rely on somebody's memory of how a song went.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the musicians on stage.
Yeah.
And I just learned over the years, even if it's something that that they know, have a chart there for them. Have a roadmap so that they don't wind up being embarrassed themselves. Because the musicians, they'll freak out. I've had them musicians come to a screeching halt because they don't know which way to go, even if it's a song that they may know, or maybe they don't know it, and you just presume that they should know it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And let me tell you a frightening story, if I may. When I first started in jazz, there was this club called Poisson's in San Francisco, and they had a system of bringing in new acts to where they would invite you on stage to do a couple of songs. If they like that, they would invite you back to do like a half a set. Well, not like a half a set. They do like a set, something like that. They give you enough to see if you knew what you were doing. If they like that, they invite you back to do like 2 out of 4 sets. And if they like that, then you could have a whole night.
Wow.
There's a whole progression you had to go through to get there. So I had gotten to, and let me say there were 3 bands. So there was like the beginning band. So that's where you would come in, play with that band. And they weren't great musicians. They were good people, but they weren't the greatest musicians. And then there was the next band, which was a step up from them, seemingly. And then there was the top shelf, heavy hitters. So I had worked my way up to the top shelf, heavy hitters. And I wanted to do Let's Stay Together. And I got one of these store-bought charts out of a book. There's about 20 pages, for this one song. And I meticulously copied it, taped it all together and all that kind of stuff. And we got on stage, we're doing this song and it's going great. And it gets to the bridge and they all come to literally a screeching halt. And they're standing there looking at the charts and they're turning back and forth. I said, where's the rest of the chart? So I taped about 10 pages together, but I didn't tape the rest of the song. So that return, I didn't have the return to verse 2 or whatever it was to lead me to the bridge. And so they just stopped. And it was a full house.
Oh God.
The band was like, and the thing with the band was, it wasn't like, it's not our fault. he didn't give us the proper chart. And so I just had to eat it on stage like that, you know. We went to break.
boy.
We went to the break, and the club owner just read me up and down. What is going on? Aren't you prepared? Why aren't you? Blah, 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 blah. It was one of the most embarrassing moments in my life.
Oh my God.
But I learned from that too. Also, not only put the chart together, but read it through it and make sure it's all there. I also learned I don't need a 10-page chart on stage. I'm going to get it condensed to 2 to 3 pages at the most.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want all that stuff, you know, and properly tape everything and, you know, make sure it's all put together correctly. So
that's you know, I remember it just brings up this one musician who, like, when I was out of being a young singer, you know, I was like much more later, and he said something like, yeah, you're much better, you know, now. And I was like, what the fuck did that mean? You know? I mean, I don't know, whatever. But those kind of things, they do stay with you, and you definitely learn your lesson, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you know what I got? I don't know why I jumped to this, but you've probably read Kenny Werner's Effortless Mastery.
I have it, yes.
Well, he just came out with his second book.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, years.
I know that.
How many years later, right?
Yeah.
Like I literally just got it yesterday in the mail.
Okay. Yeah, that's a beautifully done book. That book helped lift me actually to kind of a different state of mind about performing and singing.
Yeah, me too. And students, even non-jazz students of mine, really loved that book.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
You said you stopped reading for a while. Are you back to reading?
Yeah, but I mean, we're reading a lot of political stuff too, which got depressing after a while. So
Oh, God, I know.
yeah, I just went back to reading, but you know, I don't know. It's still a little different. It's still a little difficult to get into a flow at this time.
Yeah.
You know, the surgery that I had is also kind of given me some challenges just on and how to maintain my physical health and conditioning and that sort of thing. And now that I'm seeing the end of all of that process, or coming to a more stable place with that, you know, the books have started to open up again. Yeah. We have books laying all over the place here, so read about 20 pages of this and 20 pages of that one. You know.
I do the same thing. It kind of depends on what mood I'm in, right? And sometimes I don't know about you, but I wake up in the middle of the night, you know, because I just don't sleep how I used to. You know, I'll wake up at 2 or 3 and I'm wide awake. And I have to decide, I don't really want to turn the TV on, and I don't want to turn the computer on, definitely. So I guess I'm going to read. So which book am I going to continue on, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been reading a real mixture of stuff. I kind of tend towards spiritual, philosophical books, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
But I do have the Robert Kennedy Fauci book, and I keep reading only little bits of that because I can't take it, man. It's so heavy. It's like it blows my mind. It hurts my mind. So I read a little bit and then I have to put it down, you know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's a rough thing, and we don't want to get into political talk here necessarily, but you know, I'm worried for my country.
Yeah, me too.
And of course, you know, we can live in a bubble if we choose to, and just kind of keep our head in the sand. But I'm worried about the way things are going politically, and it stresses me. I won't say it depresses me, but it stresses me that I don't get a sense that people are actively paying attention.
Yeah.
everyone, I mean, we have so many challenges in our daily lives, and I just think that things are being glossed over because we got this pandemic challenge. We have our personal issues, and rents getting high everywhere, and I mean, just one thing after another. So we're being distracted from the big things that are going on behind the scenes here. So I worry about that.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And that's actually why I balance it out with philosophical or spiritual reading, because otherwise I think I would get super upset. And
maybe I need more of that. Maybe I need more spiritual writing. So maybe you can email me a couple of titles.
I will.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does balance it out. And of course music, But the other night I was feeling uptight, and I went out to hear some music. And on the way, I was actually listening to Eckhart Tolle, and
Oh yeah.
the subject matter happened to be absolutely perfect. Like, it always is when you listen. It's just like he's talking to you, and
I have many of his books, but I don't have any books on tape or anything.
oh, he's on on YouTube, and it's just
Was that
great.
right?
Yeah, it's just wonderful to listen.
Yeah.
And it was the perfect thing, and I felt all the anxiousness around me just literally melt away. It was great. It was just a very kind of made me realize things that I already know. And then I got to the music. It was great music, and I just had a much better evening of the whole thing. Because I think when I was younger, I'm not sure why, maybe it was a reliving of when I was growing up, but when I would be home and not able to go out, I would have some weird anxiousness come in. I think it was probably from when I grew up, because my parents used to argue a lot, and so I think that it sometimes it's still there underneath, so it gets stirred up. And music is always just such a great thing. And occasionally I'll have the drink because I can't take it. It's just like I got to have a drink, and
But I don't have that.
the drink.
Yeah, the drink. I stopped many years ago because I was consoling myself too frequently. So, whether I needed it or not.
Right.
Yeah.
I haven't been a drinker I had my youth drinking, and then I really didn't drink for years and years, not very much at all. But I have noticed during this period of time, it's like it's easier to have a drink.
Well, when I was doing more club dates, I knew all the bartenders, and it was automatic. I'd walk in the building, whether I was performing or not. It just got to be a little too much to, and too easy to get. And when I started waking up thinking about where I was going to have my first drink of the day, that was it for me. So,
Yeah, definitely.
too much, yeah.
I never did drinking or drugs in order to feel more loose singing, because right away I recognized that couldn't be good, to have to do that to be comfortable. No, I'm not going to do that. So luckily I didn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, except for my rock and roll, my R&B early days, I wouldn't drink before I performed anyway.
Yeah.
Because I dread forgetting lyrics. And, I want to be fluid enough that if I do forget them, I can put something else in there that you don't notice. I didn't know that song had that word in it. Yeah, oh yeah. Yes. There's a different version. There's a new version. Yeah.
Hey, do you want us to listen to anything particular?
Well, as I said, I'm going to have to.
Oh, I'm sorry. You have to.
okay.
Yeah. You actually have to leave now.
I do have to leave.
Yeah. That's okay. I might play you on the way out, so you can leave, and then I'll just play some of you.
This is fantastic, Cathy.
Thanks for being on, Nicholas.
It's an absolute pleasure being
really,
here.
really nice. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you inviting me. Thank you so much.
Nicolas Bearde, I'm sure you're going to sell a few CDs today.
Oh, well, that'd be nice too. But if you have something in mind to play me out, that would be lovely as well.
I will, and I'll just play something, and you can just push the leave on your end, and you can go, and then I'll just keep playing you.
Okay. Well, thank you again for having me. And,
Love you a lot. Thank you.
You too. You too. Thank you. I'm so glad we met those many years ago.
Me too.
Yeah, and I'm glad to see you keeping on. So next time I'm in town, I'll give you a shout, okay?
Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you.
Bye.
Ha-ta, as they say.
So you can push leave.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Catch you
Bye.
later.
And then I'll play something here from Nicolas. Let's see. Let's see. Where are you? That one. And there was something that I wanted to hear. Pizza Express. That's in England. Let's listen to him at Pizza Express.
You are unforgettable, though near or far. Like a song of love that clings to me. The thought of you does things to me never before. Has someone been more unforgettable in every way? And forevermore, that's how you say. That's why, darling, it's incredible that someone so unforgettable thinks that I am unforgettable too. Unforgettable in every way, and forevermore, that's how you say. That's why, darling, it's incredible It's an unforgettable evening. Thank you so much for being here. Unforgettable.
Beautiful way to end our time with Nicolas Bearde. Yeah. Pizza Express, yeah. So that's a pretty cool spot. So that was really nice. Beautiful time with Nicolas Bearde, great singer from San Francisco, from Oakland, actually. And yeah, thank you for being here and listening, everybody. Let's see. Tomorrow, well, Thursday through Sunday, I'll post the archives. Tomorrow will be Cheryl Benteen, great singer, teacher, and she's one of the members of the Manhattan Transfer. And then Friday, the great Tierney Sutton, award-winning jazz singer. Saturday, great pianist Tamir Hendelman. And then Sunday, wonderful singer, songwriter, pianist, film scorer, composer, Catherine Bostic, dear friend of mine. Also, if you're in LA, I am actually singing. I have a gig, and it's not only my first set, but it's also a jam session. We'll see how it goes. Normally it's outside. It's at the conference room in Playa Vista, but this time of year is very cold over there. So we are going to be inside, and it's not too tight, you know, it's pretty comfortable nowadays, but you know, people might be worried, you know, but I'm going to be there. And then Sunday, during the day, let's see, it's 2:00 Pacific time. You can find this on my Facebook. I'm posting it. I should probably put it on my website too. Lynn Colbert Jones has a show dedicated to songwriters. So I'm one of the 3 songwriters that the show is dedicated to, and it's an online show. And Gary Fukushima is going to help me by accompanying a few songs that I've written. And there'll be a little interview. So that's Sunday. And on, you know, you can always look at my website to see who I have on, but I'll just tell you next week, the live people are Diana Lynn Wallace on Monday, who was actually in the first Fish to Birds group. She's a dancer, singer, composer, very creative person, and a percussionist, a drummer. And Tuesday, one of the elder statesmen's statement of jazz bassist Henry Franklin. And he lives on the West Coast, and he's dear person. I just adore him. And he's, you know, he's old school. He's so good. He's a great player. Wednesday is the famous arranger, Tom Kubis. He's very famous. His arranging is just incredible. He's a West Coast guy too. So those are the live people. I hope you're going to do well. I thank you for being here, and that's it. Have a great day.